We stand at the edge of a new era where coding is guided by artificial intelligence. Lines of code flow, no longer typed by human hands alone, but suggested by an algorithm. The promise is one of speed, of efficiency, where the barriers to entry for creation have been lowered. But behind this bright facade, a different story is unfolding. It is a story of subtle shifts in power, of control being consolidated in the hands of a few. As we marvel at these AI coding assistants, we must also begin to ask more difficult questions. What are the long-term consequences of outsourcing our foundational skills to a machine? A silent monopoly is forming, one that's quietly reshaping the developer's future. AI in development is presented as a gift of time and assistance, a tireless partner. Tools like GitHub Copilot and Cursor AI are marketed as co-pilots, designed to feel like an extension of the developer's mind, offering solutions with astonishing speed. The sales pitch is simple: write better code, faster. This illusion of empowerment is carefully crafted, integrating so smoothly that they quickly become indispensable. We are being given a powerful tool, but what are we giving up in return? The truth is, these tools are sophisticated systems designed to learn from us. Our collective knowledge becomes training data to build more powerful systems owned by a select few corporations. What is rarely mentioned is the fundamental shift in the ownership of knowledge. Now that knowledge is being aggregated, centralized, and productized. The very expertise that defines a developer's value is being used to train the systems that may one day devalue that same expertise. The relationship is of a user and a platform, and in this new relationship, the platform always holds the power. Who are the architects of this new world? They are the same giants of technology that have shaped our digital lives. These are the entities funding the research and deploying the AI models. They present these tools as contributions to the community, leveraging open source to gain trust. They appear as benevolent patrons, but this conceals a calculated business strategy. The same companies that champion open source tools are simultaneously building closed ecosystems. The AI assistant that helps you write code for free is designed to work best with their proprietary services. It is a classic strategy of lock-in, modernized for the age of artificial intelligence. The long-term goal is to create a generation of developers who cannot function effectively outside of this ecosystem. If you control the tools that people use to build, you ultimately control what they can build. This exploration is not an attack on the engineers building these AI models. The technology itself is a monumental achievement. The issue is the economic framework in which it's deployed, prioritizing platform control over user independence. This is a warning, not an attack. The shift is happening with a slow, almost imperceptible creep. We must engage in a more nuanced examination of the systems behind these tools. What are the cognitive consequences of allowing a machine to become central to our intellectual processes? We have a responsibility to ensure a future of genuine empowerment. To change course, we must recognize the direction in which we are being silently guided. It began as a whisper of a tool that could almost read your mind. This grew into a roar with the launch of GitHub Copilot. Suddenly, an AI coding partner became a tangible reality inside code editors. It promised to be a true collaborator, generating entire functions and documentation. It was presented as the ultimate productivity hack, a tireless assistant. A new category of software was born, and competitors rushed to offer their own versions. Tools like Cursor AI and Replit's Ghostwriter aim to empower a new generation of developers. The marketing focused on empowerment, urging developers to focus on the grand vision. This framed the tools as an augmentation, a way to elevate skills and free developers. This masked a more complex reality. They were fundamentally changing development itself. AI developer tools accelerate development, accomplishing tasks in minutes instead of hours. A developer can simply describe the desired function and watch the AI generate the code almost instantly. This creates immense power and productivity, making traditional coding feel archaic. It transforms debugging. Developers can highlight code and ask the AI to explain or fix it. The friction of mastering development disappears, smoothed over by AI. These tools integrate into familiar editors like VS Code, with suggestions easily accepted. By outsourcing problem-solving to AI, we outsource learning, eroding mental muscles. AI developer tools have seen explosive adoption, millions of users, billions in investment, and a rapid shift from niche to mainstream. GitHub Copilot, for example, now writes up to 40% of code for its users. Tech giants like Microsoft pour billions into these platforms, subsidizing costs and locking in users. Most tools, even those branded as alternatives, rely on the same few AI models from OpenAI, Google, or Anthropic, creating an illusion of choice. The more users, the more data. The more data, the better the models, fueling a feedback loop that cements monopoly power. The numbers don't just tell a story of innovation, they reveal a classic strategy: capture the market, build dependency, and consolidate control. Every interaction with an AI coding assistant is data. Your code, your choices, your solutions. These tools are massive data collection engines, harvesting expertise from millions. Your unique solutions become training fodder for the next model, centralizing knowledge and ownership. Opt-outs are rare, defaults are permissive, and enterprise users often have no choice. The convenience of AI trumps concerns about intellectual property and privacy. The ethical line blurs. When AI suggests code based on proprietary algorithms, who owns it? In the end, developers fuel a system that monetizes their creativity, one line at a time. AI tools are changing how developers think and work. Instead of building solutions from scratch, developers now prompt the AI and curate its output. This reduces cognitive effort, but risks eroding foundational skills and deep understanding. The struggle that once built expertise is replaced by instant answers, making developers more passive and reactive. Creativity and true innovation suffer when the AI's standard solutions become the default. Over time, reliance on AI can atrophy essential skills, leaving developers dependent and less capable. The tool meant to boost productivity may ultimately undermine the developer's own growth. Installing an AI coding assistant means accepting an unspoken contract. In exchange for convenience, developers let their work become training data for corporate-owned algorithms. The platform shapes what developers learn, how developers learn, subtly steering choices to benefit its owners. Autonomy is traded for productivity, and knowledge becomes something leased, not owned. The AI is not a neutral assistant. It's an active participant with its own agenda. By embracing these tools, developers endorse a future where control over code and creativity is centralized. New developers now start with AI assistants as essential companions, not advanced tools. The AI lowers barriers, but also bypasses the struggle that builds real understanding. Beginners learn to prompt the AI, not to code from first principles. Their confidence is fragile. Remove the tool, and many can't recreate what they've built. This dependency is by design, ensuring long-term loyalty to the platform. The next generation of developers is being shaped to work within a proprietary ecosystem. Dependency is the product, not just a side effect. AI-generated code creates the illusion of learning solutions appear instantly, and progress feels real. But seeing an answer isn't the same as understanding it. True mastery comes from struggle, reasoning, and debugging, not just copying code. The AI short-circuits this process, leaving developers with shallow, brittle knowledge. When things go wrong, those who've only learned through autocompletion are lost. Platforms profit from this illusion, making users feel smart as long as they stay inside the ecosystem. The system cultivates dependency, masked as empowerment. Developers think they're learning to code, but they're really learning to operate a product by design. Historically, a skilled software developer was like an architect. AI assistants are transforming this role. The developer is shifting from architect to assembler. Their task is to curate and connect AI-generated components. The AI provides the building blocks. The developer puts them in order. It's a change from creator to curator. The value of an assembler is lower than that of an architect. The goal is to reshape software development into a process where AI is the primary engine. The human brain operates on a simple principle: use it or lose it. Skills that are not regularly practiced will degrade over time. This is true for learning a foreign language, playing a musical instrument, and software development. The cognitive abilities required for coding are like muscles. They grow stronger with consistent exercise. AI coding assistants are designed to eliminate that struggle. They are cognitive offloaders. When it becomes the default mode of operation, a gradual atrophy of skills begins to set in. The problem only becomes apparent when they're faced with a situation where the AI cannot help. It is a downward spiral that ends in a state of near total dependency. The developer becomes trapped, unable to function effectively without the very tool that caused their skills to erode in the first place. The dependency created by AI tools is not one of overt force, but of seductive convenience. It's a set of golden handcuffs. The benefits are so immediate, so tangible, and so seamlessly integrated into the daily workflow that giving them up feels like a voluntary and painful downgrade. A developer who has become accustomed to generating code with a simple comment, debugging with a conversational query, and auto-completing entire files will find the prospect of returning to the old way of coding almost unbearable. It would feel slow, clumsy, and inefficient. The convenience itself becomes the locking mechanism. This is a deliberate and highly effective strategy. The platforms are not just selling a product, they're selling a superior experience. They're conditioning developers to a new baseline of productivity and ease. Once this new baseline is established, it is psychologically difficult to revert. The pain of losing the convenience is often perceived as being greater than the abstract, long-term risk of dependency. Developers might be vaguely aware of the potential downsides, but the immediate, tangible benefits of the tool on their daily work easily outweigh those concerns. They willingly put on the handcuffs because they are comfortable and polished. The ecosystem built around these tools strengthens these handcuffs. The AI assistant works best with the parent company's cloud platform. It integrates perfectly with their project management software. It suggests using their proprietary libraries. Before long, a developer's entire professional stack is intertwined with a single corporate ecosystem. Escaping is no longer a matter of simply uninstalling a plugin. It would require relearning workflows, migrating infrastructure, and abandoning a suite of tools that have been designed to work together perfectly. The switching costs become prohibitively high, not just financially, but in terms of time, effort, and productivity. This deep integration is the final step in ensuring long-term dependency. The initial hook is the convenience of the core AI tool, but the long-term prison is the ecosystem it draws you into. The companies behind these platforms understand this perfectly. They're not just building a single popular product. They're building a self-reinforcing system where each component makes the others more valuable and harder to leave. The dependency is by design, and the design is, honestly, brilliant in its execution. It ensures that the developers who build the future are themselves built into a system they do not own and cannot easily escape. The strategy begins with a gift, a powerful, almost magical tool offered to developers, often for free. This is the Trojan horse, arriving under the banner of progress and goodwill. This builds trust, making it easy to welcome new offerings without suspicion. It integrates seamlessly into open platforms, making adoption feel natural. The horse is willingly pulled inside. Once inside, the AI assistant acts as a gateway, suggesting specific cloud services or APIs. This is where the lock-in begins, guiding developers into a proprietary ecosystem. The Trojan horse was a delivery system designed to plant the seeds of a closed ecosystem. The destination for this journey is the cloud. AI coding assistants are operated by the largest cloud computing platforms, like Microsoft's Azure, Amazon's AWS, and Google Cloud. The AI tool on the developer's desktop is a sales agent for the data center infrastructure. The goal is to transition the developer into a customer of their entire cloud ecosystem, a modern-day walled garden. The AI assistant is fine-tuned to work best with its parent company's cloud services. The path of least resistance leads directly into the company's own cloud platform. Once a project is built using these integrated services, it becomes incredibly difficult and expensive to move. This creates a powerful form of lock-in. The initial convenience has transformed into a long-term commitment to a single vendor. It's about controlling the entire pipeline. To counter the perception that they're building closed monopolies, these tech giants have, honestly, become masters of something called open washing. This is the practice of selectively open sourcing certain components to create an illusion of community collaboration and transparency while keeping the most valuable strategic parts firmly under proprietary control. For example, they might open source the code editor like Microsoft did with VS Code, or maybe just the user interface for a library. This earns them a lot of goodwill and encourages widespread adoption, since developers feel like they're participating in a free and open ecosystem, not a corporate-controlled platform. But honestly, this strategy is deceptive, though highly effective. By making the most visible developer-facing parts of the stack open, They effectively mask the closed nature of the core infrastructure. VS Code is open source, but the Azure cloud services it seamlessly integrates with are not. The AI model's research papers might be published, but the model itself, along with the vast proprietary dataset it was trained on, remains a black box. So this allows them to enjoy all the benefits of an open source reputation: community engagement, free contributions, and rapid adoption, without giving up control over the parts that actually generate revenue and create lock-in. This creates a dangerous ambiguity for developers. They believe they are working with open technologies, but they are, in fact, being funneled toward a closed back-end. They build their skills and their projects on what appears to be a public good, only to find later that they are inextricably linked to a single company's commercial offerings. The open tool was simply the on-ramp to the proprietary highway. The very language of openness, which once stood for freedom and decentralization, is now being co-opted to serve the opposite purpose, to build more effective and less obvious monopolies. The real power lies not in the code that is shared, but in the data that is collected, and the infrastructure that is controlled. By focusing the community's attention on the open source components, the platform owners divert scrutiny from their core business strategy. They've learned that you don't need to lock the front door if you can control all the roads leading to it. The illusion of openness is a sophisticated form of misdirection, allowing them to build their walled gardens in plain sight, often with the enthusiastic help of the very people who will eventually be enclosed by them. The initial phase involves subsidizing the AI tool, offering it for free to students, or at a low price for individual developers. The goal isn't immediate profit, but mass adoption to make the tool ubiquitous. This creates dependency, making the tool feel indispensable. Once established, the economic model shifts. Introductory pricing fades, and the true cost emerges. Because developers are now deeply reliant, they have little choice but to pay. The cost of switching is far greater than the increased subscription fee. The platform, having made itself indispensable, can now extract its profit, extending pricing power into the entire closed ecosystem. The real money is made on the cloud services that the AI tool has been steering you toward all along. This is the classic bait-and-switch maneuver, executed on an industry-wide scale. The endgame of this strategy is not just market share, it is the consolidation of the future of software development itself. By controlling the dominant AI development tools and the underlying cloud platforms, a handful of corporations are positioning themselves as the gatekeepers of innovation. They are creating a world where the ability to build and deploy software at scale is, well, really contingent upon paying tribute to them. They're moving from being participants in the digital economy to becoming the landlords of it, leasing out the very ground upon which the next generation of technology will be built. This consolidation has a chilling effect on competition and true innovation. How can a small startup with a genuinely novel idea for a developer tool compete against a product that is heavily subsidized by a trillion-dollar corporation and deeply integrated into the world's most popular platforms? How can a new cloud provider attract customers when the default path for millions of developers leads directly to Azure or AWS? The immense gravity of these closed ecosystems makes it nearly impossible for independent alternatives to gain traction, leading to a less diverse, less resilient, and less innovative technological landscape. For the individual developer, this consolidated future is one of diminished autonomy and leverage. As the industry coalesces around a few standard proprietary platforms, the specific skills a developer has become less transferable. Expertise in a particular open-source technology becomes less valuable than proficiency in operating a specific company's AI and cloud services. This, honestly, shifts the power dynamic heavily in favor of the employer and the platform owner. The developer becomes a more interchangeable cog in a machine they do not own and cannot control, their career path dictated by the strategic decisions of a few corporate giants. This is the hidden monopoly that is being formed right now. It is a monopoly built not on steel or oil, but on code, data, and dependency. It's quiet, complex, and often obscured by the very convenience it offers. The same companies funding the tools that promise to empower developers are quietly locking them into cloud-based services, APIs, and paid subscriptions that ensure their own dominance. They are not just controlling a market. They are aiming to control the fundamental means of creation in the digital age, ensuring that the future they are building is a future where they hold all the keys. These tools are sold as digital partners. The language used is intimate and collaborative. In reality, this assistant is a silent observer, recording our every interaction. It is a sophisticated surveillance system embedded directly into our creative workflow. The assistant is there to learn from us. It's a data-gathering operation disguised as a helpful companion, watching over our shoulder. The assistant that is always watching becomes a normalized part of our environment. This is seen not as an intrusion, but as a standard feature. The core of the ethical dilemma: who owns the output of a developer's labor? Historically, the code you wrote was your intellectual property. With AI assistance, this line of ownership becomes blurred. It is systematically harvested and absorbed into the platform's training data. Your creative work is transformed into a raw material for someone else's product. The platform does not pay you, yet it is the most valuable input for improving its AI model. You are providing them with an invaluable consulting service, one that refines the product they sell back to you and your competitors. Your individual contribution becomes part of a whole that you do not own. By aggregating the world's coding knowledge into a single proprietary model, these companies create an asset that no one else can replicate. The ethical breach is profound. The manipulation extends beyond just data collection. It actively shapes the developer's thinking process. An AI assistant is not a neutral oracle of pure code. Its suggestions are inherently biased by the massive data set it was trained on. This dataset reflects the most common patterns, the most popular libraries, and the most widely used architectural choices. As a result, the AI will, consistently guide developers toward these mainstream solutions. It subtly discourages novelty and experimentation by making the standard path the easiest and quickest one to follow. True innovation, which often comes from unconventional thinking, is gently nudged out of the workflow. This shaping of thought is a powerful form of control. When a developer is faced with a problem, their first instinct may no longer be to think creatively from first principles, but to see what the AI suggests. The AI's suggestion, presented instantly and with an aura of authority, can anchor the developer's thinking, making it harder to consider alternative, potentially better solutions. Over time, this can lead to a homogenization of software design. An entire generation of developers guided by the same AI models may begin to build applications that are architecturally similar, using the same set of tools and frameworks. This guidance is not always technically neutral. The AI can be, and likely is, fine-tuned to favor the products and services of its parent company. For example, GitHub Copilot, owned by Microsoft, may be more likely to suggest code that integrates with Azure cloud services than with a competitor like AWS. This is not a technical failure. It is a strategic feature. The tool becomes a subtle yet highly effective marketing channel embedded directly into the development process. It manipulates developers into making technical decisions that serve the platform's business interests, all under the guise of providing the most optimal solution. The ethical line is crossed when this guidance is not transparent. The developer believes they are receiving objective technical advice, but they are actually being subjected to a sophisticated and personalized advertising campaign. The tool is shaping what they think is possible, steering them toward a specific commercial ecosystem. It's a form of manipulation that preys on the developer's trust in the tool's technical prowess. By controlling the suggestions, the platform can control the technological trajectory of projects, ensuring they remain firmly within its walled garden, all while maintaining the illusion of developer autonomy. A significant part of the ethical manipulation rests on creating a powerful illusion of confidentiality. Developers routinely work with highly sensitive information, including proprietary business logic, unreleased algorithms, security vulnerabilities, and private API keys. The integration of an AI assistant into the code editor means all of this sensitive data is potentially exposed to the tool. The platform providers go to great lengths to assure users that their code is private, that snippets are not stored long-term, and that enterprise-grade security measures are in place to protect their intellectual property. These assurances, however, often contain subtle caveats and ambiguities that are buried deep within lengthy terms of service agreements. While they may promise not to reproduce your code verbatim, the knowledge and patterns derived from your code are still absorbed into the model. The AI learns from your proprietary algorithm without storing it, a distinction that is legally convenient but practically meaningless. The platform can claim it is not stealing your code while still extracting its full intellectual value. This creates a false sense of security, encouraging users to trust the system with their most valuable digital assets. The very structure of these systems makes true confidentiality difficult to guarantee. The models run on centralized corporate servers, processing data from millions of users. The potential for accidental leaks, security breaches, or even lawful government subpoenas for data is ever present. Placing trust in a third party to handle the core intellectual property of a business is a significant risk, yet the convenience of the tool persuades millions to take it every day. The manipulation lies in downplaying these inherent risks and presenting the system as a secure, isolated vault, when it is, in fact, a porous, interconnected network. For organizations, this presents an enormous ethical and legal minefield. Are they fulfilling their duty to protect company and client data when they allow their developers to use tools that transmit code to third-party servers for processing? The illusion of confidentiality created by the platform providers can lead companies to adopt these tools without fully appreciating the potential for intellectual property leakage. The convenience is so compelling that it overrides standard security protocols, creating a scenario where the most valuable secrets of a company are being handled by a system whose primary goal is not confidentiality, but data acquisition. The most effective form of manipulation is often invisible, achieved not through overt persuasion, but through careful environmental design. The creators of AI assistants are, honestly, masters of this craft. They have engineered the developer's environment to make reliance on their tool the path of least resistance. The AI's suggestions appear seamlessly, accepted with a single keystroke. The integration is so smooth and the immediate time savings so significant that choosing not to use the tool requires a conscious and deliberate act of will. It feels like choosing to walk when a moving walkway is right beside you. This engineered convenience is a powerful manipulative force. It leverages basic human psychology, our natural inclination to conserve energy and choose the easiest option. By making the correct choice, from the platform's perspective, also the easiest choice, they can guide user behavior on a massive scale without ever issuing a direct command. Developers are not forced to use the AI's suggestions, but they are strongly incentivized to do so by a user experience that is meticulously designed to reduce friction for the desired action and add friction to any alternative path. This manipulation extends to the entire ecosystem. As discussed, the AI is fine-tuned to make integrating with the parent company's other services incredibly simple. Deploying to their cloud, using their database, or authenticating with their identity service is presented as a one-click affair, while using a competitor's service requires navigating complex documentation and manual configuration. The path of least resistance is not just about writing a single line of code. It is about architectural decisions that have long-term financial consequences. The environment is engineered to make loyalty the most convenient option. Ultimately, this strategy removes meaningful choice while maintaining the illusion of it. A developer feels like they are in control, making their own decisions, but their choices have been subtly and powerfully shaped by a system designed to lead them to a predetermined outcome. This is, really, the hallmark of effective ethical manipulation. The subject does not even realize they are being manipulated. They believe they are acting out of their own free will and in their own best interest, when in fact they are following a carefully laid path, one that leads directly to increased dependency and deeper entrenchment in a closed, monopolistic ecosystem. The future is one where a developer's role is fundamentally redefined. The trajectory we are on leads to a model described as developer as a service. The core intellectual capabilities of a programmer are no longer skills that an individual possesses, but services accessed via subscription. Their value will be in how effectively they can prompt the machine that does the knowing. This represents the ultimate form of dependency. A developer's ability to earn a livelihood becomes contingent on access to a corporate-owned platform. They become tenants on a digital landlord's property, their professional capabilities rented rather than owned, creating an unprecedented power imbalance. The platforms that provide this knowledge as a service will hold immense sway over the entire tech industry. The developer is no longer a skilled artisan, but an operator of machinery they do not own. This is the logical conclusion of the path we are on. The convenience of today's AI assistants is the down payment on this future, where freedom comes at the cost of our intellectual autonomy. The idea of owning your skills or code will become an illusion. You'll feel like the owner of your work, But what does ownership mean when a machine generates the code? The true ownership lies with the platform that holds the intelligence and infrastructure. Your code is a product of the AI's suggestions. As developers rely on AI, their own knowledge shrinks. It will be a fragile illusion, masking a reality where your skills and knowledge are no longer your own. They belong to the system you're part of. Human progress has often been defined by the decentralization of knowledge. The printing press, public libraries, and the open internet all worked to distribute information more widely, empowering individuals and breaking down monopolies on knowledge held by the powerful. The current trajectory of AI development represents a terrifying reversal of this trend. We are witnessing the beginning of a great re-centralization of knowledge. The collective intelligence of the world's developers, their solutions, their expertise, and their data is being funneled into a handful of proprietary AI models. These models, owned by a few of the largest corporations in history, are becoming the new arbiters of technical truth. They are the new oracles. When a developer has a question, they will not turn to a diverse ecosystem of blogs, forums, and open documentation. They will turn to the AI. This means that the platform owner has the power to shape the consensus of the entire industry. They can subtly favor certain technologies, deprecate others, and guide millions of developers according to their own strategic interests, all while appearing to be a neutral source of information. This centralization creates a single point of failure for the entire digital ecosystem. If one of these central AI models has a flaw, a bias, or a security vulnerability, that flaw can be instantly propagated into the codebases of millions of applications around the world. The diversity of thought and approach that makes for a resilient and robust software ecosystem will be lost, replaced by a monoculture shaped by the output of a single machine. The risk is immense, yet it is rarely discussed amidst the excitement for the productivity gains that these centralized models offer. The future they're not telling you is one where the open, chaotic, and vibrant digital commons is replaced by a clean, efficient, and privately owned knowledge utility. It's a future where a few corporate librarians decide what the world gets to read. This consolidation of intellectual power is the ultimate goal of the hidden monopoly. By controlling the source of knowledge, they control the future of what can be built with that knowledge. It is a profound shift that threatens the very principles of openness and decentralization that the internet was built upon. This future of least knowledge and centralized control is not yet an inevitability. We are standing at a critical fork in the road. The path of least resistance, paved with the seductive convenience of today's AI tools, leads directly toward the future they are not telling us about. It is a path of passive acceptance, of trading long-term autonomy for short-term productivity. To follow this path is to tacitly agree to the terms of the unspoken contract, to become a willing participant in the construction of our own gilded cage. This is the easy path, the one we are being gently pushed toward every day. But there is another path. It is a harder path, one that requires conscious effort, critical thinking, and a commitment to the principles that have long defined the developer community. This path involves using these powerful new tools not as a crutch, but as a supplement. It means treating the AI's suggestions with skepticism, always striving to understand the why behind the code, not just the what. It means deliberately practicing the fundamentals, writing code from scratch, and engaging in the productive struggle that builds real, lasting expertise. It is the path of intellectual independence. Choosing this path requires a community-wide shift in mindset. We must champion and support open-source AI models that are transparent and community-controlled. We must demand data privacy and ownership rights from the platform providers. We must educate the next generation of developers not just on how to prompt an AI, but on the foundational principles of computer science and software engineering. We must, as a culture, celebrate deep understanding over shallow productivity and reward true craftsmanship, not just speed. We need to build our own tools and platforms that serve the community, not just a corporate business model. This is the call to action. It is a plea to every developer, from the novice to the veteran, to be mindful of the tools they use and the systems they support. Think critically, learn deeply, question the defaults, and never ever outsource your thinking to a machine that was built to serve a business model, not your intellectual growth. The future of our profession is at stake. The choice between being an owner of knowledge or a lessee of it is ours to make. We must choose wisely, for the path we set today will determine the world we build tomorrow. We have journeyed through the quiet revolution taking place in the heart of the digital world. They function as vast data harvesting engines, transforming our intellectual labor into corporate assets. The cost, paid in unseen installments of autonomy and skill, is dangerously high. The risk is that we will become more like them. We risk creating a monoculture of thought, an echo in the machine. It is a call for mindfulness, to question the systems we are so eagerly adopting. The future of development is something we must actively shape. The question is what we as a community are going to do about it. The power to choose a different path still rests in our hands. The final warning is about cognition. The ultimate monopoly is not one of markets, but of minds. When a single entity controls the tools that shape our thinking, they gain profound influence. They can shape our perception and direct the flow of innovation itself. We must reclaim deep independent thought and champion learning from first principles. Use AI as a supplement to our intelligence, not a substitute. Support open source, advocate for data ownership, and build communities that value shared knowledge. Never forget the ability to think critically and create independently is our most valuable asset. Monopolies control minds. Embrace AI without sacrificing human intelligence. The choice is ours, masters of our minds or users of someone else's.